Okay, so we got the close-up going on here so that you can kind of see what I'm doing. I got a nice straight edge. I always, when I first get my leather, cut a straight edge on it to so that I can use that for using a strap cutter or something else when I'm working. So that's always important. In this case, I'll save the longer straight edge for the gusset. That's sort of the edge between the front and the back. And we'll flip it over on here. So I got this nice straight edge, and all I'm going to do is, using up as much of the material as I can, I'm going to line up my pattern like so, okay? And then you're going to take whatever you're going to mark with. You can use a pencil, you can use a pen, anything like that, and I'm just simply going to mark the outline. I'm going to trace what I'm making so that I can cut it out. This is all just preparation to cutting out the leather. So this is the back of the piece, okay, that comes over to the front flap. And then we're going to cut the front part, that's this part, over here. And again, this is really simple, straightforward stuff. I try to bump stuff up so that I'm using as little leather as possible. Leather's expensive, you don't want to waste it. Remember, when you're cutting, doing your patterns or whatever, to include as many parts of what you're doing as you can. In this case, we have this little pocket here in the front, right here, so I need to cut that part off. Now, this little flap is separate, and then we have the actual pocket. It's actually the same exact pattern. I just cut the one piece a little shorter. Saves me time and all those things. You want to, especially when you're working on a production kind of level, you want to save as much time as possible. But the idea is to have as many parts cut ahead of time so that when you dye everything, you're dyeing it all the same, and each piece is there to kind of look at and make sure that your dye is consistent in color if that's what you're looking for. So always remember to try to do that. So here I'm cutting out this little pocket, or not cutting it out, I'm tracing it, and again, I'm just getting the outline. Now I'm going to need another one of these, so I'm just going to cut it the same size. That little extra bit isn't going to be a big deal. Okay, so there's all my pieces ready to be cut out. Okay guys, hey, here's a quick word about layout and especially things like curves. So you got something that's straight and you want to make it curvy. One of the best things I use is, this is the slicker that I use to actually smooth the leather. It's a nice sized round thing. It's about 2 inches in diameter. So it makes nice curves. So I literally just trace this. You can also get yourself like one of these things. It's got a bunch of little circles on it, and you just trace those to make the radius for the corners. They actually sell big metal curvy things that you can buy that for all kinds of different diameters, but you know, again, we're trying to do this on the cheap, so maybe not an investment that you'd want to make right away, but that's key. So when you're looking at that, now one of the key things about what I did is I used this for all of them. So all my curves are this radius. And from a design point of view, that will be better, because then everything is going to have a similar radius, so if you have a more cohesive design when you're making something. Now, for those of you out there who are into, like, you know, bushcraft and stuff, that doesn't matter. But when you're trying to make something good and has a nice visual feel to it, consistency is your friend. Okay, you always want to keep a consistent theme or approach to whatever you do, whether it's the same color, the same design. If you put a bunch of leaves in one corner, you might want to put a bunch of leaves in another corner. It's what our eye likes and expects. The human beings sort of like those things. But that's getting into Gestalt psychology, and that's not the purpose of this video. So we're ready to cut. So we're going to be using, this is an Olfa utility knife. You can use almost any utility knife you want. Sharp is our friend, okay? The sharper the better. It'll be smoother, and that's a really key thing. Sharp tools are important, okay? So I'm about ready to cut this, and I'll do the best you can at seeing. I got a corner here. Now I'm going to show you how to do that corner. See, this is a rounded corner. I'm going to show you how to cut one of those in just a sec, but let's work on the easy parts, the straight parts first. You can use a rule. I just use my hand. I just do it by hand. and I went past the corner, okay? And I'll show you why in a sec. Now we have a long straight bit here, which I can just kind of follow that and just go all the way along. Whatever side of the line you stay on when you're cutting, just be consistent in that. If you don't have a really steady hand, then use a straight rule. Use a metal edged implement to cut what you need to cut. Okay, so I said that when we got to the corners, I would show you a little different way to do that. So here's these rounded corners, a radius corner. I actually just used a circle template to make them. So most of you would think you would just go and follow very closely around this corner till you meet up. And then you got your corner. But you know what? Not everybody's hands are that steady. So I'm going to show you another way that is kind of quicker and can save a little time for you. So now we have a circle, a curve is nothing but a bunch of radiuses, a bunch of straight lines. So you're kind of using that concept when you cut out a curve like this. So some people just cut sort of like along there to create like a little bit of an angle. So now we just have this part, okay, so that we don't have all that extra material. And then we just basically work our way around the angle, making short little cuts, removing just a little bit of material. It seems like it's a lot more time, but you're actually more accurate. And there you go. Now you can still see those little bits of those cuts, but we can take those off when we burnish and bevel the edge. Okay, so that's just another way to do it. I did it very slowly. When you have a full-size one, it goes a lot quicker. Here's a little teeny one. Okay, and this one is really quick, so I'm going to just do it here. And I got 1, 2, kind of clean up that thing, and I'm done. As opposed to doing this one, and you're trying to go around the corner really carefully, and you sometimes mess it up. Okay guys, so one of the things you might have noticed that I did not cut was this part, okay? The part that basically holds the two sides together. It's properly called the gusset, okay? So this strip of leather is really just one long thin rectangle. So whenever you're cutting things that are essentially long thin rectangles or straps, then you want to kind of think about the easiest way to do it. And yes, I could take a ruler and cut that, but I'm not that great. I mean, I can do it, but the point is, why do it when you have a tool that does it for you? This is called a strap cutter. It's essentially just, it's got a blade in there, okay, and then a guide that has the inches on there for you. Okay, I think I'm upside down for you, okay? And then you can set it, so this is set at 1 inch, all right? And then you just drag it along the edge, and I'll demonstrate right now, okay? Okay, so we're going to use the strap cutter. Now, one key part of this is you've got to have a straight edge to go off of, because that's what this is working off of, all right? So in this case, we have a long, straight piece of leather, long straight edge of the same leather we're using for everything else. You just place it up against there and then work for that slot in there, okay? So the blade will cut along. You got to get it started, okay? And once it's through, you just hold the piece and it's doing the cutting for me. Okay, so we're just moving it along. The sides of the tool provide the square edge, and then the blade, of course, is on that little outrigger bit. And voila, we have a long strip cut in a lot less time than it would take me to measure it out and cut it. And I can also use that for other parts on there. I can use it for the straps that hold the rings, and of course other things. I always save these bits because you never know when you can use them.